Lesson planning can become a wonderful solution for many problems that you have ever got. And I can tell about some cases that I had during my studying, especially during the CELTA course, how these plans that I spent 16 hours on just helped me to have my lessons in like 45 minutes and not more. So having a plan is actually necessary. And when I was at school and at university, for me, it felt like just a paper, because nothing interesting, nothing important was in this plan. The teachers just included the information of the exercises we needed to do and the answers, and like the homework, and that's it. But when it comes to the working plans of the Cambridge that I am now constantly using, they are a little bit different. So for example, when I'm using a book, and it can be like any book, textbook created by Oxford, Cambridge, or any other community or company that could ever create something, it may feel like they are the only correct ones and you should just follow the book. And when you come to the lesson, you just open this book and one layout is one lesson. It feels like that until you notice that you don't have enough time to cover vocabulary, grammar, listening, reading, and writing. And all in one day. You give the writing and speaking for homework, pronunciation for homework, workbook for homework, a lot of homework, and they come back and you have a new topic again. And you are kind of having so you have 12 units, you have 4 chapters in each unit, so you have 48 or something hours of one level. And so you kind of divide them, and yeah, you have one level in 1 month. But that's not how it works. These books were never designed for that. So the word lesson 1 never means lesson, 45 minutes. It means like a topic, a unit, something like this. And each thing, for example, vocabulary, grammar, listening, reading, writing, are actually designed for their 1 hour. That is the whole secret that was taken away from me when I was just starting teaching. I was made to teach in 48 hours for one level. And for me, it was really hard. I was working in one school, in one big school, and they had all this New English file, and they printed the elementary. In 1 month, they have the pre-intermediate, but they don't know for pre-intermediate. And they say, oh, that is a weak book. It's not the weak book. No, it's a little bit about the professionalism of the teacher and the realia of the school. Yeah, I was a student back then, and nobody told me how to do that except for that director who wanted me to give them all this information in this time. Moreover, my salary was not good, but that's not the question right now. I was trying to understand what is wrong. And I found out the information that if you do the piece of lesson, like vocabulary, 1 lesson, grammar, 1 lesson, and etc., that is how the book is designed. That is what it is designed for. The authors of the book were actually planning you to teach the students the vocabulary, like 1 exercise, 1 hour. And that is kind of mind-blowing. Of course, the authors are not correct enough, and sometimes I can combine vocabulary and listening, because this vocabulary is used in listening, so why not combining it? So first they listen, then they find these words, and then they listen again doing the tasks, and after we try to use these words. That's absolutely working. That is a great theme. I will talk about this a bit later, but yes, every stage of the lesson is designed to be 1 hour. And your students actually can be pretty understandable in terms of that. They can know more and they can think less. You are the person who is thinking. Okay, so what about actually changing the layout? As I told you, I had to change the layout just because of the class. I understood, as I said, about the listening, and I started to think if I have this kind of vocabulary listening correlation, and I had it not only once but several times, that was a book by Cambridge, that was face to face, I decided like, okay, maybe I should change the layout all the time. Vocabulary after listening, because the words are taken from this audio. I was thinking, and then I understood that this book constantly makes one and the same mistake, and I'm noticing this mistake, and that the authors of the book are not the people who have to tell you how to teach. And now I changed the layout, I changed the process of learning, I changed the plan of the lesson, and I don't base it just on stages of the class, like how they are shown in the book. No, I take the information, I take the topic, but I organize it in my way. And I do it with every book, even with outcomes, because sometimes the listening exercises there don't suit the actual aim that should be here. For example, you have to have listening for gist in task 1, and they are giving you fill in the gaps. Or something not interesting, absolutely. Yeah, maybe in the newer versions they have changed something, I haven't seen it yet, but for sure it happens that you have mistakes in books. And it is difficult for your students, so you kind of change everything. I work in Miro, so I anyway will have to transfer the vocabulary or anything else to the board, and while transferring I already change something. I can add a little bit more words from the audio because I'm listening before the class, or even if I'm not listening, I'm looking through the transcript, trying to understand which words can be not known by my students. And I add some words, I change something, and that's absolutely okay. So once again, each stage in the book is aimed for like making one lesson, and the second is that you can change the layout of the book, because the authors are not those who can teach you in this case. Because what if your students know better? What if your students know these words but they don't know something else from the listening, and you know that better? So it is something that comes from needs analysis, and you have to be able to teach your students in your way. No book, once again, no book can predict your students' difficulties. It's only you who can just be basing on the book. You can build the strategy for learning, but you still change it absolutely as much as you wish, and some topics even can be skipped. That's okay. So, and this is what I have. I have done it forever and ever, and I believe that is the way we should teach. Moreover, when you are at CELTA or TKT course, you can find that there are some questions like, how did the teacher change the lesson or the material? And there are the options. Change the task, change the layout, changed the level, adapted for the level, and many more options. Changed the picture, adapted the names, many more things like that. So that the teachers actually can change texts. For example, you don't like the text because it sounds a little bit odd for your culture. You just find a text with similar words, or you use ChatGPT to write you a similar text without these words and with the usage of the keywords from the vocabulary. And they create you a new one, or you find someone in the news, why not? So, but this takes time, and that is all about the lesson planning. If you don't do these stages, it means that your lesson is not planned, you're just giving the information. But once you adapt the information for your students, they actually get something better, something newer, something fresher, just from you and just for them. And you are the best teacher for them because you are aiming at making everything good. So I wish you luck with these. I hope this one was useful because a lot of people ask me like, why should I plan? I shouldn't use plans. We always write plans at school, of course, but I see that these plans are always not the same thing as we are talking about. These plans don't have to be long, like only the first ones when you're trying to do it correctly. After you can make it shorter. But in general, you have to know what you are doing at each small step of your lesson. Absolutely every part of your lesson should be prepared, predicted, and controlled. Wish you luck with this work. So leave in comments your opinions about planning and how many pages your plan has ever been. We'll be waiting for your answers and wish you all the best.